if you're a new agent getting into the business, thinking about, do I go solo? Do I go team? Like, what advice would you give one of those agents?
Well, the industry is kind of skewed. I mean, I've watched it happen.
Yeah.
Has skewed a lot more, heavily to the team model. I think a lot of brokerages recognize that and, have set their service offerings up to support that. I don't think it means they're not supporting independent agents, but I think they realize that that's kind of the direction that for the time being that this industry is headed. As a new agent, I mean, first and foremost, if I were stepping back into time and circumstances were different 18 years ago, but if I could, go back in time, if I could borrow Doc's time machine
We wish we all could.
and do that. First and foremost, I would get as much education and information as I could from like seasoned agents. Like I would really, make it a important part of my progression and growth to just be a sponge to, that doesn't mean, annoy them and nag them, but I mean, I would really lean heavily into, those professionals. In terms of joining
and they've seen things like that's the subtle nuances of things that go wrong that the experienced agents can really, I think,
that's right,
share with a newer agent.
100%, because it's all, you take the real estate courses, right? And they teach you what's in a book. And then you get your license, but there's no real world application that's happened yet.
Conceptually, you know what happens when you put that in that box,
right? But realistically,
practically, what does this actually work out to be?
Right, and it very rarely happens that way. There's very rarely like, everybody signed. Oh, they gave. I mean, everybody did everything just to the T. I mean, that's like the white unicorn of this, right?
People need to be coached.
So there's always some speed bumps that you're going to have to deal with. So from a new agent perspective, I think just leaning into the people around you, getting, immersing yourself in, what you can learn from them. In terms of being an individual or joining a team, I think if you can find, if that appeals to you, find a team where the culture part of it, fits in with what you're looking for, because every team is different.
Right.
I mean, there's, a lot of them operate, and there's no right or wrong, just a lot of them operate differently. But finding one that's going to, support you, that's going to invest in you, emotionally, educationally, that's, wants you to be a part of something, I think that's an important thing to look for. I don't think it just comes down to, where am I going to make the most money? I think
for a new agent to think,
I think that's, I think that's, listen, if you do well in this industry, that will take care of itself. There's an opportunity that if you can be successful and you can show your value,
take care of people.
That will take care of itself. Right. Good quote from Tiger Woods that, golf quote, he was the number one ranked golfer in the world for nearly a decade. Like if you take I think they said the next 10 or 12 golfers behind him and add up all their weeks as number one, it still isn't even half of what he was number one. But they used to talk about having the number one ranking for so long. And he said, I don't worry about the ranking. If I win golf tournaments, I'll be the number one ranking. Like all I got to do is focus on the golf tournaments, not the ranking, right?
Yeah. Focus on taking care of your clients.
Yeah. Focus on the
important things.
Focus on the important things. Focus on being in the moment, taking care of your clients, thinking about, how you want to build your business, and that part of it will take care of itself. Right. I think there's benefits. I look at sometimes of individual agents. I think there's benefits of being an individual agent sometimes too. Like you're kind of in
your own boss,
master of your own destiny there in some regard.
Your own boss until you remember your client's your boss.
That's right. That's right. I think, there could be, a certain type of clientele that likes just dealing with one person. I think there's a huge benefit to being able to go into a presentation with the seller and talk about the team you have around you. So I think it comes down to just really kind of personal preference. I think it feels like where you feel like you can have success. But I think, with the propensity now for newer agents to really kind of gravitate towards teams, I would just say, make sure that you're interviewing them too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an opportunity.
It's like dating, really.
It is. I mean, it's it shouldn't feel like, you're as a new agent, necessarily maybe beholden to them, in some regard. Right. Like it's, there's going to be opportunity for you there. So take advantage of it, but make sure it's the right fit. I think I know like when I got into the business, I joined a brokerage that, I immediately regretted joining. And it's because I didn't do my due diligence, and I'd have a lot different questions now, but I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so
what would you ask?
I think that's, number one, I'd probably ask, what is the support structure for a new agent? Like if I'm going into new brokerage, like what type of, culture am I coming into? What type of opportunity am I going to have for education? What type of opportunity am I going to have for collaboration? It's not about what split am I getting?
Yeah.
Obviously finances are a part of everything, but it would be, is this a place where I can come in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, whatever it is, still feel like I'm getting this value from that place, right? And I think it's important. And I do think who you're with matters in some regard. I really do. I do think that, agents can be with different brokerages and they can be successful at a multitude of different places. But I do think having the backing of a successful company that, again, has the resources in place to support you, has skins on the wall, for lack of a better way to put it.
I think the other agents make a difference too.
Absolutely.
Like in life, peer group matters so much.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things when I ultimately joined, after leaving this brokerage, initially went to a larger, more kind of respectable named firm here. And that's the first thing I noticed immediately is just being around the agents. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm learning so much that I never got where I was.
Yeah.
And it's and they invite you into that, where I was the first time go around, it was just kind of everybody's kind of on their own. Unless you knew somebody, unless you'd been there and known somebody, but they didn't really foster an environment to bring people in and educate them and nurture them. And I think, there's I think we do that. I think there's plenty of other brokerages that do as well. But I think that's really, as a new agent, just making that determination of do I want to have an opportunity to really grow and provide value to a team as well and learn from educated people and pick that up, or am I gonna go at it on my own? Hopefully with support of the brokerage.
And that works for some people.
And it works for some people too. It does.
Yeah.